Black Friday from 1940. This is going to be my review and reaction, and this is day 4 of 31 of my 31 days of horror. So let's do this thing. So the last movie I did was from 1936, and just since then to 1940, when this movie was made, there's actually a huge leap in like filmmaking quality. Like there's like this snazzy wipe transition right here where it kind of follows the car. But it's just a lot smoother and nicer and like kind of easier to watch, like cinematic language wise, if that makes sense. Also, this movie has an absurd amount of like spinning newspapers and spinning like journal entries, because the movie starts with this guy about to get the electric chair, and then it goes into his journal and you learn about what happened in the past. So you have this dweeby professor who just got done lecturing his kids on Black Friday. So this movie's called Black Friday, and he just got done lecturing them and how on Friday the 13th you got to watch yourself or you're going to hurt yourself. So he gets out of the car to go get his hat, and his wife's like, "Hey, moron, be careful in traffic." And he's like, "Burp, burp, burp." And then he like walks out into traffic and almost gets hit because he's an idiot. And then he totally does get hit, and he like almost dies. And then he gets his brain switched with the gangster that was there by this doctor, because there's always got to be some mad doctor in these stories. So the moral of this movie is pay attention when you're crossing the street, because if you don't, you might get ran over and get your brain switched with an evil criminal. All right, can I just say again how nice it is to see Boris Karloff just being like a normal human? Yeah, he's evil and does something totally illegal and is about to do something downright despicable right here in this scene. But it's so nice to see him and then later Bela Lugosi in this movie as, well, that guy's a gangster, but he's just like a doctor. And it's so nice to just hear them like playing humans. It's fun to see them playing monsters, but I think they're really good at this part. I you see Boris Karloff just lumbering around being like, "Rah, rah," and you're just like, okay, maybe that's all he's good at, but he's a very convincing actor. Look at this horrible thing he says. So this lady just had her husband got hit by a car and almost died. And then there was another guy that was injured at the same time, and he's a criminal. So he switched their brains. And then the professor brain that went to the criminal body died. And then this lady's husband, which is the dweeby professor, lived with the criminal brain. And so now it's kind of both personalities fighting each other. This movie is very much like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, or even like Fight Club with Tyler Durden, where at night he's out doing bad stuff, and then during the day he's really tired and he's the normal good one. But look at what the bad doctor here is about to say to the dweeby professor's wife. Right to her face. I think this is so despicable and evil.
He just doesn't seem himself.
Why, he's getting stronger every day, isn't he?
Physically, yes, but his mental condition doesn't seem right. He's irritable. Flies into a rage for no reason at all. That isn't like George.
No, it isn't. He has been.
So he acts concerned.
I don't think I'd be too alarmed about it, though, if I were you.
Well, I hope you're right.
Anyway, it's hard to tell what he says, but he says, "I don't think I'd be too alarmed if I were you." And it's just like, that is so dark and evil. I know it's just like a conversation, but the fact that he switched his freaking brain and then he's just like, "Oh, don't worry about it. It's okay. We just need him. He needs to rest." And it's like, because he found out that he does find out that this gangster has some hidden money. So then he has this whole plan to get him back into the gangster life, to bring up his memory so that he can get a hold of the money. Just a quick note on this Blu-ray restoration here. It says, once again, if you look at the bottom, it's Black Friday. It says it's from a new 2K scan. And this is probably the roughest 2K scan so far. There's quite a bit of film scratches and film debris. And there's like these like things up at the top that are like wiggling. So I don't know if it's like hairs were stuck in the scanner or whatever. But there's quite a bit of junk. And then it's pretty grainy as well. The sound on this one was also quite crackly. It seems like the DTS HD Master Audio on these usually have nicer, cleaner sound, but it was pretty crackly in this movie. Here is an example of the spinning words that they did all throughout the movie. It probably did it 20 times. It's like more than an original Batman 60s series episode.
To Red's old environment. In fact, the Midtown
So there's the
Hotel,
narration,
Cannon
which
used
Boris
in
Karloff
Thailand.
has an amazing voice. I'd love to listen to like a audiobook narrated by him. So every time he transforms into the other guy, it actually looks really awesome. And I don't know if they did like a cut in here, or if they just have him doing it, but he always gets all stressed and rubs his face, and then he like slicks his hair back, and just the way that he holds his face just completely changes. Look at this.
That is it, Red. Blood.
Pulls his hair back. Yes. Look how he holds his face. Doesn't it look awesome? So he turns into his old self, and since they've traveled to New York, he basically goes on like a killing rampage, killing all his old gang. So then it's more like a gangster noir movie with like a little bit of sci-fi in it. So you wonder like, why does this make it into the horror collection? And I guess because there's a bad doctor and does like a brain switch. But the rest of the movie, besides the fact that the transplant worked, the rest of the movie is like a gangster movie with a multi-personality. So it's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, but instead of being like olden timey, it's like a noir 40s gangster movie. So it's actually pretty crazy. Like here's the cops show up. He's in someone else's apartment. The cops show up, and it gets pretty crazy here. So I was pretty surprised at a lot of the amount, like the body count in this movie, and the amount of kills, and just kind of what happens. And so I really liked it. It was a cool, interesting movie with the personality keep changing back and forth. And again, watching this, it's like, man, is like, did this inspire Fight Club, either the book or the movie for that matter? So the doctor is so determined to end up with the money that he basically tells the guy that he could make him forget who he is. He's like, you will obey me. But he uses the power of the Boris Karloff stare, which he uses in like the Mummy and Frankenstein. Well, Frankenstein's more like an empty, like standing there look, and the Mummy's kind of more creepy like this. But look at that. Look at that. This is very cool. All right. Black Friday. I had no idea what to expect from this. I didn't know which way it was going to go and how violent it was going to be and who was going to win. And it was fun. I liked it. So sure, it's a horror movie. I guess it came in the horror collection. So, because there's a bad scientist doing a thing. So we'll take it. I enjoyed it. Let me know if you've seen this movie. And there's huge filmmaking upgrade in like quality and techniques from 36 to 1940. Anyway, this has been day 4 of my 31 days of horror movie reviews. So stick with me if you want more reviews of fun old stuff. And then I do reviews year round too. So stick with me and let me know what you think. It's always fun to hear from you guys. So thank you. Bye.